And their friends, Dave Paulides, CanAm Missing Project, copyrighted edition for our video channel. This is Huck TV. She's the executive producer. She's 3 years old. She's Great Pyrenees. And she's very cocky. And there she is, sleeping on the job. But that is Huck. And giving us the side eye right there. See that? Did you see that? Like, hey, Dad, be quiet. Leave me alone. All right. She's going to be here. And we're going to be right here. So we're going to talk about a couple of missing person cases on a national park special. Yes, every once in a while I'll go a mile deep in the national park and we'll talk about a couple cases out of there. And today we're talking about one park in particular, the Grand Canyon. If you've never been there, you should go. It's overwhelming. It's so huge. And if you can, train before you go. And it's worth it to hike down to the bottom and see the Colorado River. Epically beautiful. And do not do it over the summer. No, that's really dumb. You want to do that in either the fall or the spring. Do not do it in the summer. Just forget it. It's way too hot, too much risk involved, too dangerous. Now, both these cases that I'm going to talk to you about, one of them just happened, and one of them is about 8 years old. I rarely say this, but both these cases rub me the wrong way. What do you mean, Dave? Something about these cases just is not right. And I'm going to give you just the facts, and I want you to understand it. And at the end, we'll discuss it. The first case involves a woman 66 years old. Just happened last month. This is the lady, Martha Overholser. Yes, German. 66 years old, missing December 10th, 2024. She lived in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, raised in Michigan. She has lived in Boulder, Colorado, Wisconsin, and Michigan. And when I was doing my research on Martha, I also found out she used the last name of Vandermolen. Owned her own home. When I do a workup on somebody, I check every source you can. And I looked up her information on Facebook, and there was a post there by the National Park Service with a lot of people chiming in. One person said that her mom was still alive and in her 90s. Couldn't confirm that. Don't know if it was a random post or if it was true, but somebody said that. Means that she has some pretty good genes. Martha was on a commercial cross-country bus trip. Like a tour bus, not something going point to point like a Greyhound. No, this was a tour bus where everyone kind of stays together for the trip. That photo I showed you, I'll show it to you again, was taken at the Grand Canyon, and this is actually what she was wearing when she disappeared. So please take note. So this bus stopped at a place called Mather Point. And if you've never been there, it's a little tourist area with a tremendous view. It's beautiful. It's a lookout, some people would call it. People exited the bus. Everybody kind of walks around trying to get their best shot. People take photos of each other. Some people on the bus reported that at that location, Martha was seen walking west towards a place called Bright Angel Lodge or Hermit's Rest. And they didn't know which location specifically she was going to, but that's the location she was going. So here's Mather Point. Now, they said that she was walking west along the road that eventually comes down into the area that I told you about with the lodge. The most direct way to that lodge would be this way, but she went this way, kind of following the perimeter road in the cliffy area there. Now, here's another map I'm going to show you. So again, she was at Mather Point, where the bus stop was. Mather Point, and she was last seen going west. Last seen going west. So the map's going to come into play in a minute. So when these buses go around, everybody kind of stops, and some people take longer than others, and eventually everyone gets back on the bus. And there's usually some kind of tour guide, and they take a roll to make sure everyone's back on the bus. Some older people are slower, etc. Where they take roll, and Martha didn't come back on the bus. So people get out, walk around, call her name, look for her. Somebody said, yeah, we saw her walking west on the perimeter road. Okay. So the bus doesn't move. The bus calls the National Park Service. There were a lot of rumors about this, that, oh, they just left too soon. No, they did not. Other people said, well, she must have gotten on another bus. No, she didn't. When you get on these buses, they check your name off when you get on. They make sure that they have the right people on the bus, because they know older people sometimes get on the wrong bus. So no, she didn't get on a different bus. Well, the National Park Service gets there, they take a report, and immediately they start searching. And the park did what they should have done. They start closing sections of that perimeter road along the cliff, and they are putting National Park rangers on ropes over the side, seeing if she fell. After several days, they decide, and no one's seen her, they decide that they're going to ping her cell phone and find out where it comes back to. Well, they ping it, and it comes back to a place called the Abyss. Now, the Abyss is 10 miles west of where she was located. That is a long way for a person 66 years old to walk. Just saying. So the rangers go there, they put up a drone. They fly the drone around, and they're not seeing anything. So rangers go over the side multiple times, multiple rangers. And to their utter astonishment, they're looking down below as they're rappelling, and they see a body. And they get down there. The body's not Martha. The body is somebody else. And to this day, the National Park Service has not released who that body is or how it got there. They didn't say if there was a bullet in them. They didn't say if possible suicide. They didn't say anything other than they were searching for Martha, and they found a body that was unrelated to her case. Immediately, I start thinking, well, how many other bodies are there down there that they haven't found? Just saying. So the phone, they didn't say if they found the phone either. So here's where Mather Point was. And remember I said that she was seen walking towards a lodge. Lodge is in the village right here. But her phone was found pinging way over here where they found this other body. And from here to here is about 10 miles. It's a long ways. Now, if I'm the investigator on this, that seems really odd. I mean, really odd. Now, during the course of the 6-day search, they put up more drones. And just so you know, if you go to these spots in a national park, do not bring your drone. You will be arrested and the drone will be confiscated. You cannot put up a drone in these locations in any national park. Just to let you know. They can, you can't. Now, in all of these reports that I read, there wasn't one mention of Martha's mental status. And I mean, did she have memory issues? Was she depressed? Etc. There wasn't one mention of anything. It does bother me that she hasn't been found. It bothers me a lot. And I started to do some digging. And I looked at National Park Service deaths from 2007 to 2023. A report came out. Said 185 people during that time died at the Grand Canyon. And an average of one person per year died by suicide. Now, there was a CDC report that was issued on 12/3/2010. And the report was between 2003 and 2009 about the national parks. And they stated that during that 6-year period, there were 286 suicide events in 84 different parks. 68% resulted in suicides, 32% attempted suicides. And this report stated that the top place to take your life, Grand Canyon and the Blue Ridge Parkway. Friends, there is a mental health crisis in America. If you're in one of these locations and you see somebody is having a tough day, crying, sobbing, be that good person. Go over there and walk over and say, hey, can I help you in some way? Can I get some help for you? Do you need something? Engage them in conversation. Don't be afraid to ask about someone's mental health. I've done it hundreds of times as a police officer. And you never know. You might save someone's life. Now, I have no idea what happened to Martha, but it bothers me a lot that she hasn't been found. Considering the searches that the Park Service did and finding another body, just bothers me. All right, talk about another national park case at the Grand Canyon. I wrote about this in Missing 411 Law, Land, Air, and Water. The man's name was Floyd Roberts. Floyd, 52 years old, missing June 17th, 2016, just 8 years ago. He was backpacking with a friend and his daughter when he disappeared. Floyd was super smart. He was raised in Princeton, New Jersey, and at one point he worked for NASA at the Marshall Space Center. I've never written about anybody that used to work for NASA. Now, this is the National Park Service bulletin that was put out on Floyd. Pay special attention to what his shoes look like and what his backpack looked like, and I'll get into that more later. But the National Park Service special agents put these bulletins out, and usually they stay up for like 3 to 7 days, and then they take them down because they don't want anyone else to know that anyone's missing in an area they're visiting. But this is a missing person bulletin. A little bit about Floyd. Floyd, at 10 years old, met his best friend, a man named Ned Bryant. They stayed friends for life. Floyd was Ned's best man in his wedding. In 1992, the guys decided to make a bond And they'd go backpacking and camping every year just to keep the friendship tight and close. So they made a plan in June 2016 that Ned, Floyd, and Floyd's daughter would get together and go backpacking in the Grand Canyon. Stop there. Now, Ned knew, because I'll explain it later, but Ned knew this area really well, and Ned knew it was really hot. Now, Floyd was living in Florida, so he knows what hot and humid is like, but hot and dry is different. So what they did is they planned a 9-day backpacking trip. And the first few days of that trip were planned that they would stay down on the Colorado River. Cool, nice, cool off in the water. Perfect. And then they would make their way out, climbing out. Well, they were in a brutally hot phase in Arizona then. So they're climbing out and they get to a place called Kelly Tanks. If you look it up on a map, there's like 6 or 7 areas named that. Well, Kelly Tanks is in the general area of a place called Stanley Spring. And it's way out here in the middle of nowhere. Here's part of the Grand Canyon, Robbers Roost, Fraser Wells, Indian Reservation, Grand Canyon West. This is really out there. You don't want to be around people? The Colorado River flows just below the springs. So as they're coming out, like I said, it's brutally hot. They come to a spot, and Madeline and Ned decide to go one way, and Floyd decides to go the other way on the trail. What do we call that? Point of separation. And then they agreed to meet back at another point. So at that point, Madeline and Ned, Madeline being Floyd's daughter, and Ned arrive at the location. Floyd doesn't get there. So Madeline and Ned dump their packs and they start looking for Floyd. And they do a hard search. They go down the path that he should have been coming up. They're looking around. Again, it's brutally hot. And they decide that they can't find him and they need to contact the National Park Service. Now, hold your taters for a second. I want you to spend a second here looking at that backpack. It's a Lowe's blue Contour backpack. And those are Nike tennis shoes. This is what Floyd was wearing. That backpack is going to be there forever. Those tennis shoes will be there forever. They aren't going anywhere. So, those have not been found. Nothing's ever been found. So they call for the National Park Service. And let's stop there for a second. I want you to know a little bit about Floyd. Floyd taught at Middleton High School in Treasure Island, Florida. His specialty was business technology and web development. Floyd developed almost all of the curriculum surrounding those topics, and he lived in a small pink cottage near the beach. He loved teaching, his kids loved him, and he brought something to that school that every school needs nowadays. Nothing more than business tech and web development. That is something every school needs for kids to learn. Now, step back into the search. As the search and rescue for Floyd was deploying, the National Weather Service issues an extreme heat advisory for the Grand Canyon region. That's brutal. Now, Floyd was last seen wearing a red shirt. I can't tell you how many times I've said that people disappear wearing bright colors and are never found. You should be able to see that bright red shirt from 2 miles away up in the sky. Now, Ned, his buddy, he knew that Grand Canyon area like you know your local park, because he was a board member for the Grand Canyon Backpackers Association. He knew all that area. He knew where to look for Floyd. And he couldn't find him. So the search and rescue gets going. NPS dispatched their own helicopter, a contract helicopter, and 6 ground teams into that area. There was an article in the Tampa Bay newspaper on June 22nd that stated that NPS was also dispatching a canine unit to sniff Floyd out, the article said. A lot of times at this point in a park will ask for mutual aid from other parks. In this instance, they got it. Mesa Verde, a park I know very well, sent their firefighting team, a hell attack crew, and their helicopter to also help in the search for Floyd. As they started to lay out the search for Floyd, and they went backwards on the trail, there were a couple of different trails that branched off that Floyd may have gotten confused about and taken. So really, the search wasn't confined to one trail. It could have been a multitude of spots. And that forced National Park Service to push out the search to 10-mile radius. That's a lot. Now, there is a ton of hikers, a ton, that go in and out of Grand Canyon National Park all year. All year. And then you have rafters that go down the river all year. I've stated this before, but I can't reiterate it enough, that a body really does stink. And you could smell that sometimes miles away. But yet nobody's ever reported that in association with anywhere near Floyd disappearing. The other thing that Floyd was wearing that's unusual, slightly, is he was wearing sunglasses that had white rimmed sunglasses with orange lenses. Just by chance, you're walking along and you see him laying in a crevice, or you see him laying in amongst boulders. One of those things to remember. So the National Park Service pushed the search out to 6 days. Kind of an average time to search for somebody. They never found anything. Nothing. Middleton High School had a memorial service for Floyd. And back when I wrote the article for Missing 411 Law, which would have been a couple years now, it was on YouTube. I watched it. It was heartbreaking. That school loved him. Really. Now, who I really, really feel sorry for is Madeline. She branched off from her dad to take another route with Ned. And I know that there's guilt that goes with that. If she was sitting right here, I'd look her right in the eye and say, Madeline, not your fault. Your dad was a very smart man. He chose that route. We all choose our own path in life. Remember that. I feel bad on this case, and not just bad. It just doesn't, the whole thing doesn't feel right. Do I believe it happened just like I said? Oh yeah, no, I do. But it's like something very odd happened out there. Very odd. For them not to find the body, the backpack, the shoes, not to have cadaver dogs hit on an odor. That does not seem right. For the canine not to pick up a scent. Come on. Well, that's National Park Service cases right there. Those two are super unusual. Both those individuals should have been found. I mean, Martha should have been found. Floyd should have been found. Floyd was 52. Floyd Roberts, 52. Martha Overholser, 66. Granted, two different areas of the park. One right in amongst the population, one down amongst in the middle of nowhere. Now, I would have rather been with Floyd and Madeline, and I would have brought my fishing pole and I would have been fishing in the Colorado River. I appreciate you being here. There's been a lot of comments lately about people not getting notifications of the videos. I put the link for all of my videos on several of the comments. So if you get a chance, copy down that link to all my videos, bookmark it on your computer, and then check back every other day. I greatly appreciate you following me. I try to deliver facts and deep research on these cases, and I hope you'll see things in my research you would never see anywhere else. Kindness, it's free, costs nothing. A smile can make somebody's day, and like I said, if you're ever at a location, say at a national park, and you see somebody alone having a mental breakdown, extend yourself. It's why you were placed there. Thanks again. Be safe. Be kind. Huck is over here snoring like a tired dog. Paulides out.